Did you know Miyamoto Musashi believed that conquering your own mind is the ultimate key to victory, whether on the battlefield or in daily life? In Musashi's Guide to Mental Toughness and Focus, we're diving into the strategies that helped this legendary samurai maintain unshakable concentration and an indomitable spirit, attributes that led him to remain undefeated in over 60 duels. Stick around until the end, because once you discover how to apply Musashi's timeless principles to your own challenges, you'll be well on your way to forging a mindset that can weather any storm. Number 1. Cultivate unshakable discipline. If you want to truly master mental toughness, you've got to develop a discipline that doesn't just bend or break at the slightest challenge. You need to cultivate a discipline that remains solid, no matter what the world throws at you. It's about becoming so dedicated to your goals that distractions and temptations fade into the background, no matter how enticing they might be. So, how do you build this? It's more than just about sticking to a routine. Discipline is a mental fortress. It's about creating a mindset that doesn't waver, that stands firm even when things get hard, frustrating, or downright discouraging. It's understanding that in every moment, you have a choice. You can either give into the easy way, or you can stick to what you know is the right path, even if it's uncomfortable. Think about discipline like a muscle. At first, it feels tough. You're not used to pushing yourself, and it's easy to slip back into old habits. But the more you train it, the stronger it gets. You build momentum, and soon enough, your mind starts to do the heavy lifting for you. It's not that distractions don't exist, they absolutely do, but your focus becomes so sharp that they simply don't pull you away like they once did. Now, here's the thing, discipline isn't about rigid control or forcing yourself into an endless loop of perfectionism. It's not about being hard on yourself at every turn. Instead, it's about consistency, about making the decision again and again to show up. It's about sticking to your promises, especially the ones you've made to yourself. You'll screw up, of course. That's part of the process. But discipline means knowing how to get back on track when you stray, without beating yourself up. It's about forgiving yourself quickly, learning from the mistake, and moving forward with even more focus than before. Building this kind of discipline isn't a quick fix either. You can't just snap your fingers and expect to be ironclad in your decisions. It's a gradual process, a slow but steady climb. Start small. Maybe it's waking up earlier than usual or resisting the urge to check your phone for distractions. Whatever it is, stick with it. The idea is to create small wins that stack up over time, building momentum as you go. The little victories become your foundation, and that foundation will carry you through the tough moments. But here's the kicker, discipline isn't just about the actions you take. It's about how you view yourself while doing them. It's about the mental chatter that surrounds your actions. You can't treat yourself like a failure when you falter. Instead, when you face a setback, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? Approach yourself like a coach, not a critic. You'll slip. You'll fall. But what truly matters is how you bounce back and how quickly you refocus. Over time, your ability to focus and persevere through distractions will become second nature. You won't be as tempted by the easy way, because the pursuit of your goal will become so deeply ingrained that giving up just won't make sense anymore. Discipline starts to feel like a part of who you are, not just something you do. It becomes a habit of the mind, one that strengthens and grows with each challenge. So, take a deep breath and remind yourself that building discipline isn't about being perfect. It's about showing up every day, no matter what. It's about choosing the path of persistence, even when everything else is telling you to quit. It's this relentless commitment that will push you further than you ever imagined, transforming your focus from a fleeting thought to an unbreakable force. Number 2, train your mind to stay calm under pressure. Training your mind to stay calm under pressure isn't something that happens overnight. It's not like you can simply wish for it or read a book and magically be calm in the face of chaos. No, it's a slow, deliberate process that takes practice, patience, and, let's be honest, some serious grit. But if there's one person who understood this concept better than most, it was Musashi. The legendary swordsman wasn't just skilled with a blade, he had an uncanny ability to maintain his composure, even when the stakes were as high as they get. His mindset offers us valuable insights into how we, too, can cultivate that kind of calm in our own lives. First, let's talk about what being calm under pressure really means. It's not about freezing up, pretending there's no chaos around you, or avoiding stress at all costs. It's about learning to observe what's going on, both inside your mind and outside in the world, without allowing it to throw you off balance. It's like being a rock in the middle of a storm. The waves are crashing around you, the winds are howling, but you remain unshaken. Sounds peaceful, right? But here's the kicker, it's hard. Very hard. The first step in building this inner calm is awareness. Musashi didn't just swing his sword without thinking. He was in tune with every movement, every shift in the environment. Whether he was facing multiple opponents or navigating through personal challenges, he had a deep understanding of his surroundings and his own mental state. For us, this means becoming more mindful of how we react to stress. It's about noticing the subtle signs of anxiety or frustration before they spiral out of control. The moment you catch yourself feeling tense or rushed, take a step back. Acknowledge it. Okay, I'm feeling stressed right now, but I don't need to let this dictate my actions. It sounds simple, but this level of self-awareness is what separates those who crack under pressure from those who can face the heat and keep their cool. Once you've cultivated awareness, the next step is breathing. No, I'm not talking about some mystical technique that will instantly clear your mind, although deep breathing can help a lot. I'm talking about using your breath as a tool to bring you back to the present moment. When Musashi fought, his mind wasn't flailing around, getting caught up in what might happen next or what just happened. He was focused on the here and now. In high-pressure situations, our minds tend to race, thinking about all the potential outcomes, all the things that could go wrong. But if you can learn to anchor yourself to your breath, you give your mind something concrete to focus on. Deep, steady breaths. In, out. With each exhale, let go of the tension. This brings a sense of control and presence, which is exactly what you need when the pressure starts building. Another crucial aspect of maintaining calm is perspective. In the heat of the moment, it's easy to blow things out of proportion. Our brains like to amplify stress, turning small problems into mountains. But Musashi understood something powerful. It's not the pressure that matters, but how you respond to it. When you can take a step back and see the bigger picture, the immediate pressure loses its power over you. That stressful meeting, the looming deadline, the difficult conversation, it all becomes just one part of the journey. When you realize that stress is often temporary and that you can handle whatever comes your way, you start to approach challenges with a sense of calm confidence. And, of course, there's practice. You can't expect to stay calm in high-stress moments if you haven't trained for them. This is why it's important to gradually introduce stress into your life in a controlled way. Put yourself in situations that push your limits, whether it's physically, mentally, or emotionally. Over time, you'll develop a sense of resilience. The more you expose yourself to pressure and deal with it effectively, the more you'll be able to handle when the stakes are higher. Musashi didn't become a master overnight. He honed his skills through countless battles and personal trials. The same goes for mental toughness. It's not something that's just given to you. You have to train for it. And when you do, the pressure won't seem as overwhelming. So, staying calm under pressure isn't about being emotionless or avoiding stress. It's about developing an unwavering focus, gaining control over your reactions, and building the kind of inner strength that allows you to face challenges head-on without losing your cool. It takes time, but with each step, you'll find yourself handling life's pressures with the same calm, composed mindset that Musashi mastered so many centuries ago. Number 3. Develop a strong sense of purpose. When you think about mental toughness and focus, you've got to start with one thing: purpose. Without a strong sense of purpose, your mind can drift like a leaf in the wind. You might have goals, sure, but a sense of purpose is the force that pulls you forward when everything else feels pointless or when obstacles come charging your way. Musashi, the guy who was practically a walking legend of the sword, knew this. He didn't just practice day in and day out for the fun of it. He had a deep sense of purpose that shaped every action, every moment of his life. That sense of purpose isn't some abstract idea floating out there. It's like the core of who you are. It's the reason you get up in the morning, the thing that lights a fire under you, even when you'd rather stay in bed. Now, here's the kicker: developing a strong sense of purpose isn't something you can just check off a to-do list. It's not something that magically happens overnight. It requires you to dig deep, to really figure out what drives you at the core. Without this deep-rooted drive, your efforts, no matter how hard you push, will always feel like you're running in circles. When Musashi talked about purpose, he wasn't just talking about some end goal, some distant finish line. His purpose was woven into the fabric of everything he did. Whether he was swinging a sword or walking through a forest, his purpose was in his every step. It wasn't about the future. It was about fully investing in the present moment, knowing that what you're doing right now feeds into the bigger picture of who you're becoming. If you want mental toughness, you need a purpose that's bigger than just yourself. It can't be shallow. It can't be fleeting. It's got to be something that pushes you to keep going, even when it feels like the world's closing in on you. A sense of purpose is the thing that transforms pain into progress. It's what makes a hardship feel like a stepping stone instead of a roadblock. When you know why you're doing something, the tough times don't crush you. They strengthen you. So, what does this look like in practice? Well, think of purpose like the foundation of a house. Without it, you're just stacking things up without any real structure. But when you've got a solid purpose, everything you do builds upon it, like bricks coming together to create something unshakable. Your focus sharpens. The distractions fade away. And when you're faced with a challenge, you don't hesitate. You just react, because your purpose has already told you what to do. But here's the truth: it's not always easy to tap into that purpose. Life has a way of muddying things up. The noise, the constant pull in different directions, it can cloud your vision. That's why you've got to commit. You've got to get clear on what it is that you want. And not just on the surface level. Go deeper. Why do you do what you do? What's at the core of it? Developing that purpose might take time, and that's okay. But once you have it, everything else begins to make sense. It acts like a compass, guiding you through confusion, doubt, and distractions. It's the one thing that holds you steady when the world feels like it's spinning out of control. So, take some time. Get quiet. Reflect on what truly matters to you. The strength to push through when things get tough comes from knowing exactly why you're doing it in the first place. And once you have that clarity, your mental toughness and focus will fall right into place. Number 4, embrace challenges as opportunities for growth. Let's be real for a second. Challenges are hard. They're uncomfortable, they push us to our limits, and sometimes they even make us want to throw in the towel. But here's the thing: what if we flip the script? What if we stopped seeing challenges as obstacles to avoid and instead started seeing them as opportunities? Opportunities to grow, to learn, to become stronger than we ever thought possible. When you face a challenge, your instinct might be to recoil, to find the easiest way around it, or to avoid it altogether. That's totally normal. It's in our nature to seek comfort and safety. But Musashi, with his warrior's mindset, knew that discomfort is where true growth happens. He knew that challenges are like the forge that hardens steel. Without the heat, the pressure, and the struggle, you don't become the person you're meant to be. You just stay, well, the same. It's not about pretending that challenges are easy or pretending that you won't feel frustrated or overwhelmed. Let's be clear, you will feel all of those things. But the key is how you respond to them. Do you let them crush you? Or do you take a step back, breathe, and see them for what they really are, a chance to evolve? The beauty of embracing challenges is that they force you to expand your limits. They challenge the stories you've been telling yourself about what you can and can't do. They push you to question your own abilities and, in the process, help you discover strengths you didn't even know you had. It's like the first time you lift a weight that feels way too heavy to handle. At first, it feels impossible. But with every attempt, with every failure, your muscles grow stronger, your mind grows sharper. And over time, you start to wonder, was it ever really that hard? Now, think about this for a moment. When you avoid a challenge, what do you gain? Nothing. You stay stuck, in the same place, with the same mindset, in the same comfort zone. But when you choose to lean into discomfort, you open yourself up to an entirely different experience. You give yourself the chance to stretch beyond your usual boundaries, to see how far you can really go. The feeling of pushing through, of overcoming something you once thought was impossible, is unmatched. It's the moment of victory, the rush of knowing you're capable of more than you ever imagined. Of course, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. There will be setbacks, moments where you question whether it's worth it, times when you'll feel like you're not making progress. But that's part of the deal. Every time you struggle, you're learning. Every time you fall, you're getting closer to something bigger. Challenges don't defeat you unless you let them. They only defeat the version of you that's unwilling to learn from them. Think about challenges as a mirror. They reflect back the truth about you, your fears, your doubts, your weaknesses. And in doing so, they give you the chance to confront them head-on. They ask you, how bad do you really want this? If you can embrace that discomfort, if you can look those fears in the eye and say, I'll handle this, that's where the magic happens. That's where mental toughness is built. But embracing challenges doesn't mean you have to go it alone. It doesn't mean you have to force yourself into battles that don't serve you. It's about choosing challenges that push you forward, that align with your purpose. Not every challenge is worth your energy, but the ones that test you, that take you to the edge, those are the ones that will shape you into something extraordinary. And remember, growth doesn't always look like success. Sometimes it looks like failure. Sometimes it looks like frustration. But each time you come back from it, each time you show up despite the odds, you're growing. And over time, you start to realize that you're not the same person who faced that challenge in the first place. You're stronger, more focused, more resilient. And that's what makes all the struggle worthwhile. So next time a challenge shows up, don't run from it. Don't shy away from the discomfort. Lean into it. Take a deep breath and think, here's my chance to grow. Because every challenge is an opportunity to build a stronger, more focused version of yourself. And that's the kind of growth that will serve you for a lifetime. Number 5, eliminate distractions and focus on the task at hand. If you're going to be mentally tough, you have to get serious about distractions. They're everywhere, lurking in the background, just waiting for that moment when you're least focused, ready to pull you away from what really matters. Musashi, the sword master, knew this well. When you're in the thick of a duel, there's no room for distractions. Every second counts, every movement matters. He wasn't just physically sharp, he was laser-focused. In fact, his ability to eliminate distractions is one of the reasons he could perform at such a high level. And guess what? you can develop this same ability to focus, no matter what kind of battle you're facing in your own life. Let's start with the basics. Distractions don't just come from the outside world. Sure, there are your phones, the noise in the background, the endless pull of social media, or that coworker who keeps popping into your workspace. But the biggest distractions are often the ones we create ourselves. It's that internal chatter, the thoughts that swirl around, telling you about everything else you could be doing, everything that's not directly related to the task at hand. You might be sitting there, trying to write a report or complete a project, and suddenly, your mind starts running off into a million directions. What did you have for lunch? Did you leave the door unlocked? Why is this so hard? Musashi didn't have the luxury of letting his thoughts wander like that. When he was in a fight, it was life or death. He understood that letting his focus slip for even a moment could mean losing. This is why, in everything he did, he practiced single-minded focus. And it's something we need to incorporate into our lives if we want to succeed in anything we're doing. Whether it's working on a project, studying, or trying to master a skill, you've got to be fully in it, no distractions allowed. But how do you actually block out distractions in this noisy, fast-paced world we live in? It starts with intention. When you sit down to work, you've got to decide that nothing else matters in that moment. Your goal isn't to just get through it, but to give your best. And this means you have to actively choose to ignore anything that could pull your attention away. Put your phone on silent. Close the tabs you don't need. Tell the people around you that you need uninterrupted time. Musashi was never concerned with anything other than the battle at hand. In the same way, you've got to set your sights squarely on what's in front of you and shut out the rest of the world. Of course, it's not always easy to stay locked in. The mind has a tendency to wander. So how do you keep yourself on track? Well, think of your focus like a muscle. The more you train it, the stronger it gets. This doesn't mean you need to be perfect from the start, but it does mean you need to build up your capacity for sustained concentration. Start small. If you can't focus for hours, try focusing for 10 minutes at a time. Gradually increase the length. The key here is consistency. The more you practice, the less likely you'll be to get distracted. Another trick is to simplify your task. When you break things down into smaller chunks, it's easier to stay focused because you can concentrate on one thing at a time. Trying to tackle a huge, complicated task in one go can feel overwhelming, and the urge to distract yourself is much stronger. But when you focus on one small step at a time, it becomes less daunting. Musashi didn't try to win every duel at once. He didn't try to anticipate every move his opponent might make in the future. Instead, he focused on the present moment, reacting to each situation as it came. You can do the same. And here's something important: don't let yourself get discouraged when distractions inevitably happen. Because, let's face it, they will. There will always be something vying for your attention. But the key is not to beat yourself up about it. Instead, gently guide your focus back to the task. When Musashi was in the midst of a fight, if his mind wandered for a fraction of a second, he didn't give up, he snapped himself back into the present moment. The same goes for you. When your mind drifts, bring it back to where it needs to be. It's that quick redirection that makes all the difference. At the end of the day, focusing on the task at hand is about making a commitment to yourself and to your goals. It's about deciding that whatever you're doing right now is the most important thing in your life. It's about saying, I don't have time for distractions, because I've got something that matters more. When you live by this mindset, you'll find that you can accomplish more in less time and with greater precision, just like Musashi. After all, mental toughness isn't just about handling stress, it's about being able to keep your mind where it needs to be, no matter how noisy or chaotic things get around you. Number 6, practice mental clarity through meditation and reflection. Mental clarity is like the calm at the center of a storm. Life throws all kinds of distractions your way: noise, chaos, temptations, and if you don't find a way to quiet the mind, it's easy to get swept up in it all. But Musashi knew something crucial: to stay sharp, to stay focused, you need to clear the mental clutter. This isn't just about focusing for a few minutes, it's about creating a mindset that cuts through the noise, so you can stay present in the moment, no matter what's happening around you. The key to all this? Meditation and reflection. I know, the words might sound a little too serene or mystical, but hear me out. Meditation doesn't have to be about sitting cross-legged for hours in silence or chanting some ancient mantra. It's simply about creating space to let your thoughts settle, to observe what's going on in your mind without getting tangled in it. It's about creating a kind of mental order that allows you to think clearly, especially when pressure's on. Musashi spent hours reflecting on his swordsmanship, not just physically practicing his moves but mentally aligning himself with his purpose and honing his focus. And let's be honest, we live in a world that constantly demands our attention, constantly drips distractions into our lives. We're bombarded, every minute of every day, with messages, alerts, and thoughts that pull us in every direction. The mind? It's rarely still. But it's in that stillness where clarity lives. That's where meditation and reflection come in. Think of meditation as hitting the pause button on your brain. It gives you a moment to step back, to breathe deeply, and to simply exist without judgment. During those moments of silence, you're training your mind to be present, to focus on the here and now. You're not trying to push thoughts away, you're learning to observe them and let them pass. When you get comfortable with this, it's like your mental clutter starts to fade, and the world doesn't feel so overwhelming anymore. Reflection works hand in hand with this. It's not about replaying your day over and over again in your mind, ruminating on mistakes or wishing things had gone differently. Instead, reflection is about taking a step back and looking at your actions, your thoughts, your goals. It's about analyzing what worked and what didn't, without the emotional baggage. Musashi understood the importance of this. Reflection isn't just some passive, detached process. It's active. It's a way to refine your mindset and your approach, constantly sharpening your focus and redirecting your energy to what truly matters. But here's where things get interesting. Mental clarity isn't just about clearing your head in the moment. It's about creating a mental framework that supports your goals and aspirations. When your mind is clear, you're better equipped to make decisions, to cut through the distractions, to see what's important. And, trust me, this kind of clarity will spill over into every part of your life, whether you're making big decisions or just trying to stay focused during your day-to-day grind. That's why Musashi wasn't just a master with a sword, he was a master of his mind. He didn't let distractions pull him off course. Every movement, every action had a purpose. His mental clarity wasn't an accident, it was the result of constant practice, of meditation, reflection, and a focus that went beyond just the physical. His mind was as sharp as his sword, and that's what allowed him to be so effective. For you? That means taking time out of your day to practice stillness, to clear the mental fog, and to reflect on your goals. It doesn't have to be complicated. A few minutes of deep breathing, a quiet moment to check in with yourself, or some time to journal your thoughts, these are small practices that, over time, will build the mental clarity you need. When you practice this consistently, you're not just managing stress or calming your mind, you're sharpening it. You're setting yourself up to stay focused, to make decisions that align with your purpose, and to rise above the noise that life throws at you. So, next time you find your mind scattered, remember, clarity isn't something you just wish for. It's something you cultivate, little by little, through practice, patience, and the willingness to sit with yourself, even when things feel chaotic. Just like Musashi wielded his sword with precision, you can wield your thoughts with the same sharp focus, cutting through distractions and staying on course. Number 7. develop patience and perseverance. Patience and perseverance. Two words that sound simple enough, but they carry a weight that most people don't fully grasp until they're in the middle of something difficult. Let's be honest, no one wants to be patient when things aren't moving fast enough. We live in a world that craves instant results. We want things to happen now, right this second, because why wait when you can just have it? But here's the kicker: true growth, the kind that actually transforms you, demands that you slow down. It requires patience. And not just patience, but perseverance, the ability to keep going, even when every fiber of your being wants to give up. Musashi, the ultimate master of mental toughness, understood this deeply. He wasn't the kind of warrior who charged into battle, hoping for an immediate win. He knew that true mastery took time. It took an unwavering commitment to the process, even when the path seemed unclear or far too long. The great thing about patience is that it's not just about waiting, it's about how you wait. Are you stewing in frustration as time ticks by, or are you using the time to improve, to sharpen your skills, to deepen your understanding? Patience doesn't mean sitting still. It's about taking purposeful action, while trusting that things will unfold in their own time. Now, let's talk about perseverance, because this is where things get tricky. Patience isn't always enough. Perseverance is what separates the ones who make it from the ones who quit halfway. There will be moments, lots of them, when it feels like you're not getting anywhere, like your efforts aren't yielding any visible results. It's in those moments that perseverance steps in. It's the inner fire that keeps you moving forward, even when the road feels impossibly long, when you feel like you're running on empty, when the rewards seem just out of reach. Musashi would tell you to press on, to trust the process, to know that every small step forward matters, even when it feels like nothing is changing. It's not always about huge leaps, it's about the tiny, consistent actions that accumulate over time. Think about it: if you wanted to carve a statue out of a block of stone, you wouldn't expect to see a masterpiece after just a few chisel strikes. You'd have to chip away at it, day after day, with precision and focus. Some days, you might barely see a difference. But the progress is there, even when it's not immediately visible. That's the beauty of patience and perseverance, they work in tandem. Patience allows you to weather the tough times without giving up, while perseverance gives you the strength to push forward when your mind tells you to quit. There's a balance between pushing yourself to keep going and knowing when to pull back and rest. Patience teaches you to pace yourself, to stay in the game for the long haul, while perseverance ensures that you keep your foot on the gas. In Musashi's world, nothing came easy. Every victory, every skill, every piece of wisdom was earned through relentless dedication. There were no shortcuts, no quick fixes. But the rewards, oh, they were worth it. And the same is true for you. You'll face setbacks, doubts, and frustration. You'll feel like you're putting in more effort than you're getting back. But every time you stay patient, every time you push through, you're laying the foundation for something much bigger. It's like planting a seed and nurturing it. At first, you can't see any progress. But with patience, and by persevering through the dry seasons, you'll eventually see the fruits of your labor. The most important thing to remember is this: nothing great happens overnight. Musashi didn't become a master by taking shortcuts or by quitting when things got hard. He became the warrior he was because he understood the value of persistence, of keeping his eyes on the goal no matter how many times he stumbled or how long it took. And that's exactly what you have to do. Trust the process. Stay patient. Keep moving forward, even when you can't see the finish line. When you develop patience and perseverance, you're not just building resilience, you're building character. You're learning how to handle adversity with grace and grit. So the next time you feel like giving up, remember Musashi. Remember that every challenge, every frustration, and every setback is an opportunity to strengthen your patience and your perseverance. Keep moving forward, one step at a time, and eventually, you'll look back and realize that the journey itself was what shaped you into the person you've become. Number 8. Visualize success and overcome obstacles mentally. Visualizing success isn't some fluffy self-help concept or a quick fix you can toss around like a motivational buzzword. It's a tool that, when used properly, can actually help you power through challenges, obstacles, and moments of doubt. Musashi, the legendary swordsman, understood this deeply. He wasn't just preparing himself physically for battle, he was mentally rehearsing every step, every movement. He saw victory in his mind before it happened in reality. And that's something we can all learn from. Let's break it down. Visualization is all about creating a mental image of success and then using that image to power you through the inevitable difficulties you'll face. Think about it. When you face a tough challenge, whether it's a big presentation, an important meeting, or any moment where you feel the pressure mounting, what's the first thing that happens? Your mind starts to get cloudy. Doubts creep in. What if I mess up? What if I can't handle this? That's where visualization comes in. It's like putting on a pair of glasses that helps you see past the fear and into the outcome you want. But this isn't just about hoping for the best. Visualization is more like training your brain. Musashi didn't just wait for things to fall into place. He didn't just hope that he'd be able to beat his opponents. He envisioned himself stepping into the arena, mentally prepared for everything that could go wrong, knowing exactly how to react. It was this clarity that gave him an edge. In the same way, when you visualize success, you're not just picturing an easy win. You're imagining the obstacles that might arise, the tough moments when things don't go as planned, and how you'll push through them. It's this mental preparation that gives you the strength to overcome when the real challenge hits. Now, let's talk about how you do this. It's not just about daydreaming in a quiet room. Visualization is a conscious, active practice. The more detailed your mental image, the more effective it will be. Don't just imagine yourself succeeding, imagine the steps you'll take to get there. Picture the emotions you'll feel, the moves you'll make, and the choices you'll have to take. The more vividly you see it, the more you'll wire your brain to respond as if it's already happened. It's like giving your mind a roadmap, one that leads to success even when you're in the middle of an obstacle-filled path. And it doesn't stop there. Visualization is a way to break down your internal barriers. Musashi didn't just focus on his sword skills, he trained his mind to stay calm, focused, and sharp, even when things got intense. When you visualize success, you're not just preparing for victory, you're preparing for the inevitable struggles, the moments when everything feels like it's falling apart. It's easy to feel defeated when you hit a wall, but if you've already visualized yourself overcoming that wall, finding a way around it, climbing over it, or breaking through it, then you've already mentally conquered it. This gives you a powerful sense of control and confidence when reality doesn't match up with your expectations. Now, let's be real for a second. Visualization won't make everything magically perfect. It won't guarantee that obstacles won't pop up. What it will do, however, is help you stay in the game when those obstacles do arise. It trains your mind to remain calm and composed, instead of letting frustration take over. When you've mentally rehearsed the obstacles and the solutions, you become less reactive and more proactive. You're not caught off guard by challenges, you're ready for them. And here's the thing, your mind doesn't know the difference between something vividly imagined and something real. That's the power of mental rehearsal. Musashi's focus and mental clarity came not from just his physical prowess but from his ability to mentally prepare for every possibility. He saw his path, his victory, and his strategy in his mind's eye. In the same way, when you mentally rehearse success, you start to create neural pathways that prepare you to act confidently in those high-pressure moments. It's like building muscle memory for your mind. The more you practice visualizing your success and overcoming obstacles, the more natural it will feel to stay focused and resilient when the real deal happens. So, whether you're facing a difficult decision or trying to navigate a challenge that seems insurmountable, don't underestimate the power of your mind. Visualizing success isn't about pretending the tough parts don't exist, it's about mentally preparing yourself to meet them head-on. Musashi mastered the art of mental toughness by honing his ability to foresee challenges and mentally outmaneuver them. You can do the same by seeing your success in vivid detail, preparing for the obstacles, and overcoming them before they even appear in the real world. It's about turning your vision into your reality. Number 9. Learn to adapt quickly to changing situations. Life doesn't slow down, and neither do the challenges that come with it. If you want to be mentally tough, you've got to learn how to roll with the punches. You can't afford to be rigid, stuck in your ways, expecting everything to go according to plan. Musashi knew this better than anyone. When you're in the heat of battle, things change fast. You can't always control the environment or the people around you, but you can control how you react. The trick? Adaptation. Imagine you're in a situation, and suddenly, things take a sharp turn. Maybe it's a setback you weren't expecting, or maybe an opportunity pops up that you weren't prepared for. How do you respond? Do you freeze up? Do you get frustrated because things aren't going according to your script? Or do you pivot, adjust, and find a new way to move forward? Musashi would tell you that the ability to adapt quickly is what separates the strong from the weak, the successful from the stuck. Adaptation isn't just about reacting in the moment, it's about building a mindset that's flexible. It's about learning to be okay with uncertainty and change, knowing that no matter what happens, you can find a way to make it work. Because the truth is, things will change. They'll always change. The world isn't static, and the moment you think you've got everything figured out, that's when life hits you with something new. But that's where your mental toughness kicks in. When you can adapt quickly, you're no longer a victim of circumstance. You stop fighting against what's happening and start figuring out how to work with it. It's like being a leaf in the wind, not rigid, but fluid, letting the current carry you in the direction it's meant to. Musashi had this down to an art. His entire philosophy was built around responding to whatever came his way, without hesitation, without doubt. He didn't waste time getting bogged down in things outside his control. Instead, he focused on what he could control: his mind, his actions, his response. But here's the thing, this kind of adaptability doesn't come naturally to everyone. It's something you have to practice, something you need to consciously build. It means stepping outside your comfort zone and getting comfortable with the unknown. When you're faced with a challenge, instead of automatically reverting to old patterns of thinking or reacting, ask yourself, what's the new opportunity here? How can I use this to my advantage? What can I learn from this moment? It's like the difference between being stuck in a traffic jam and finding a new route. The traffic jam is frustrating, sure, but it doesn't mean the day is over. You have the option to switch lanes, take a detour, and keep moving forward. It's that quick decision-making, that ability to shift gears in a moment's notice, that makes all the difference. And sometimes, you'll need to switch up your entire strategy. Flexibility in your approach is crucial. If something's not working, stop hammering away at it and ask, is there a better way? Is there another angle to consider? Don't get so attached to a single plan that you miss out on a better path. Musashi didn't succeed because he followed one rigid formula, he succeeded because he constantly refined, adjusted, and adapted to what was in front of him. This kind of mindset doesn't just prepare you for the big challenges either. It's a daily practice. Every time you face something unexpected, a small inconvenience, a shift in your plans, a new demand on your time, take a moment to notice how you handle it. Are you immediately frustrated? Or do you pause, breathe, and figure out how to navigate the change? These little moments add up, and before you know it, you're reacting with calm, quick decision-making instead of stress and panic. the ability to adapt quickly isn't just a nice skill to have, it's an essential part of mental toughness. It's about seeing the world as fluid, not fixed. It's about understanding that change is inevitable, and rather than resisting it, you learn to move with it, to use it. The more you practice this, the easier it becomes to face whatever life throws your way, without hesitation, without fear, and with the confidence that you'll always find a way to move forward. So, the next time life throws you a curveball, remember, adapt. Don't let yourself get stuck in the mud. Find your footing, adjust your approach, and keep moving. Because that's what makes you strong. Number 10. Strengthen your resilience by learning from failures. Let's get one thing straight, failure is inevitable. If you're pushing yourself, if you're striving for something bigger than what you've got right now, you're going to fail. It's just part of the deal. But here's the twist, failure doesn't have to be your enemy. In fact, if you know how to handle it, failure can become your greatest ally. It can be the very thing that strengthens your resilience, sharpens your focus, and builds you into someone who doesn't just survive challenges, but thrives because of them. Musashi understood this better than anyone. He didn't fear failure. He embraced it. He knew that every time he stumbled or faced defeat, it wasn't the end, it was just another lesson, another opportunity to learn. That's how you should view failure, too. Not as a mark of incompetence or something to run away from, but as a chance to refine yourself, to come back stronger, smarter, and more determined. Now, that doesn't mean you should actively go out and try to fail. No, that's not the point. But it does mean that when failure comes knocking, you don't crumble under the weight of it. Instead, you face it, learn from it, and turn it into fuel for your next move. Failure, when you know how to deal with it, becomes a stepping stone, not a stumbling block. So how exactly do you learn from failure? First off, stop blaming others, stop making excuses, and for the love of all things holy, stop blaming yourself in a way that paralyzes you. Failure is an event, not an identity. It doesn't define you unless you let it. What matters is what you do next. The key is to look at what went wrong, not through the lens of self-criticism, but through the lens of growth. Ask yourself, what can I take from this? What did I miss? What can I do differently? You might not have all the answers right away, and that's okay. The point is to stay in the game long enough to reflect, adjust, and keep going. That's what builds resilience, the ability to bounce back, not just once, but every single time. Musashi didn't win every battle, but he never stopped learning from his losses. He was always asking himself how he could improve, how he could adapt. And each failure, whether on the battlefield or in his personal journey, made him more formidable. He didn't just face challenges, he learned how to overcome them with each failure. Think of failure as feedback. Imagine you're trying to hit a target, and you miss. If you take a moment to examine your shot, to figure out why it missed the mark, you're learning how to make the next one better. But if you just throw your hands up and walk away, you never get that feedback. You never improve. The next time you take a shot, you're basically starting from scratch, carrying all that frustration with you. But when you learn from your failures, every mistake becomes a lesson that builds on the last one. You become a better strategist, a more efficient worker, and a more resilient person overall. You stop seeing obstacles as roadblocks and start seeing them as opportunities to evolve. That shift in mindset is what transforms you. It's what turns you into someone who doesn't just survive failure, but grows because of it. Another key to handling failure is detaching yourself from the emotional roller coaster it can bring. It's easy to get caught up in feelings of defeat, disappointment, or shame when things don't go as planned. But emotions, as much as they're a part of the process, aren't the drivers of progress. Logic, strategy, and persistence are. Musashi knew this, and he kept his emotions in check when facing adversity. He stayed calm, collected, and focused on the bigger picture, rather than getting bogged down in the temporary sting of failure. So, when you fail, and trust me, you will, don't treat it like it's the end. Don't let it shake your belief in your ability to succeed. Use it as an opportunity to refine your approach, to dig deeper, to get clearer on your goals. Resilience is about how you recover, how you bounce back when things go sideways. It's about the strength to face the next challenge with a clearer mind, stronger resolve, and better tools at your disposal. When failure comes knocking, don't just stand there. Open the door, greet it, and learn what it has to teach you. Every time you do, you'll find yourself becoming not just more resilient, but unstoppable. And that's what Musashi's legacy was all about, not just surviving the battle, but mastering it. And that's Musashi's guide to building unshakable mental toughness and focus. By mastering your mind, you unlock the true power to overcome any challenge, no matter how tough life gets. Strength begins from within, just like Musashi taught. If this video helped you level up your mindset, be sure to like, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs that mental edge. Keep sharpening your focus, stay resilient, and remember, a strong mind is the key to conquering any battle. Until next time, stay tough, stay focused, and never lose sight of your goals.